So in terms of technology, so you've been a strong advocate, as you say, for using ethical monitoring such as CCTV or ambient sensors to protect both residents and staff. And I think that's an important point, residents and staff. And before we go on and I finish the question, can you talk to me about why it's important to protect both?
Oh gosh, it's as
Yeah,
vital to protect
yeah.
staff as it is to protect the vulnerable,
Mm,
because they're both vulnerable. And
yeah.
I've seen that firsthand, personally and professionally. Um, I have carers come to me that are often accused of wrongdoing,
Yeah.
and they say they are innocent and that there was no overview, no oversight
Mm,
to protect them. Now, when we look at the vulnerable person, and my mother had quite complex dementia, um, sometimes people with dementia often communicate in other ways. So, they might lash out
mm,
or they might respond to their environment. And sometimes, if you're a carer, you can get caught up in that.
yeah.
So, I think, we've had carers come to us that they've been suspended for a
Mm,
very long period of time while an investigation in the home has gone on.
mhm.
Now, that carer will come back completely exonerated through
Yeah.
only the investigation process, no visual monitoring to actually 100% confirm that.
Mm,
So they often come back and say, well, the suspicion is still on me
yeah.
from my peers, from my
Yeah.
colleagues. They
Yeah.
feel it.
Yeah.
Um, and they say, this has put me off care
Mm,
because I need to be protected. And I think the more those stories came into me, because initially I was just supporting families,
yeah.
but then after about 2 years, we were getting carers come in and say, we want to be protected as well.
Yeah.
And I'm actually quite humbled by that, because I
Mm,
saw it myself, because my mother would often say, oh, I was treated poorly last night,
mm,
or that carer doesn't like me.
mm,
They don't, that carer talks not very nice to me.
yeah.
But, I could see that there was no proof
Yes.
either or. They were lovely to me.
Yes.
Um, so it was horrible. It was
Mm,
actually horrible to have that when you walked into a care home.
yeah.
And I think unless you've lived it, Katrina, unless you've lived that kind of feeling, you really do need to understand how we have to protect our care staff as
Yeah.
well.
100%. And I agree. So my grandfather, he lived independently till he was 100. And towards the end, he did have dementia, vascular dementia, same as your mother. And it was this, he had a wonderful carer. So I think as much as there are issues, I think it's important to have nuance in the conversation, say that there are wonderful carers. And
Yes.
the lady that looked after my grandfather, the way she advocated for him was so wonderful. So I can only imagine if you are a carer and actually you are doing this because this is a life's vocation and you genuinely love this elderly person, but because of their dementia, and I saw it in my granddad sometimes, they just sometimes don't. And of course, the beauty of what you're doing is that you actually have proof. So if even if you are concerned, you have that. But I say that to say, I think it is an important to point to raise. My mother also owns a care company with independent carers, and there are some wonderful carers about. So I think it's great that you work on both sides, so you see both sides and support both sides.
Absolutely. And I think this isn't about whether carers are good or carers are
Mhm.
bad. I
Yeah,
think, in an industry like the care sector,
yeah,
um, we're dealing with people that are placed under a lot of pressure.
yeah.
We're placed under carers that are limitedly supported.
Mhm.
Um, and we're working with the sector, and I've grown to love the sector.
Yeah, yeah.
I was a very upset daughter 13 years ago,
Mhm.
with not much trust.
Yeah,
But thankfully, I have seen the other side,
yeah.
and I've been very privileged. I say I feel very privileged to be able to see it, and I've fallen in love with the sector,
Mhm.
and I've seen some incredible incredible advocates and professionals working within it.
Yeah.
And I say that genuinely. But we mustn't close our eyes.
Exactly.